Welcome to the Columbus Regional Airport Authority training, snow removal training videos. As you can see, we're going to be talking about a front mounted broom. This is a Oshkosh chassis on a Sweepster Aviation made this. We're just going to do a pre-trip inspection and kind of go over what you need to do. So the first thing you need to do is you come over here. It's called the master switch. The master switch controls all the electrical stuff. Right now you can see that it's on, that's off. So normally it should be in that position, but for your prior to your pre-trip inspection, you turn it on just like that, and that controls all the electronics and batteries. So next thing you want to do pre-trip is we're going to work from like the front to the back, but as you're walking, you're looking for any major leaks or anything like that. So you're just kind of looking at the tires, the fuel tank, some of the compressed air, just anything underneath, see if you see any big puddles. And as you come to the front, you want to make sure your brooms are greased at any of the pivot points. Right here is for the broom head. You can see there's a grease fitting, and that's where you would insert grease until you see a little bit come out. That's when you know it's completely full. This head does pivot up and down for snow removal. Here's another grease fittings. There's two more down the road there, and there's three on the other side. The caster wheels and the caster bearings and stuff. Right here's another grease fitting, and down here it's probably on here on the other side of that caster wheel right there. And there's four of those for each of the wheels. And as you come into the broom head here, anytime we see any pivot points, and you see a better on the other side, but there's a grease fitting on that side and down below, and you can see there's four more here. So anywhere you see anything pivoting, you're going to need to put grease into it. So as you're coming through here, you're also looking up at the lights, make sure they're not busted or anything like that. Checking out the tires, the lug nuts, if they're off, if they're missing, make sure the tires are in pretty good shape, not flat. You can kind of look at that too. And as I walk through this way, this is where the air is for like the air brakes and anything else system that needs it and stuff. Just make sure you don't see any moisture at the bottom there. Here's the fuel tank. There's two of them, one on each side. You can just open this up. It's a diesel. All these equipment takes diesel, and you can actually physically look inside. This one probably needs a little bit on, but once it's full, you can start seeing a little reservoir up in there. So as we continue to move back on the back side of this front mounted broom, still looking at the tires, the lug nuts. This is where the batteries are kept. You can open it up and just take a quick look. We don't expect you to know what all this means, but if you see something that's not connected, say something to the supervisor or the mechanics. Make sure the cover is on, and the most thing is that it is secured. As you come back here, we've got some more grease fittings. These are the air blasters. They blow out, I guess, tornado or hurricane force winds out to help blow the snow off, but it's a moving part, so therefore we got grease fittings. We got a grease fitting there and back there. So once again, we're still looking at the lights. Make sure none of them are busted. They're not on yet because we're not to that part yet, but you can just see if there's anything, any water or any of them that are busted out. So come around here, same thing on the right side was on the left side. We've got a couple grease fittings here and here for the air blast. Just kind of looking, making sure everything looks intact, and get a little tug here and there. All the wheels look good, lug nuts. Same thing on the fuel tank, but these are connected, so if you check one side, you don't really have to check the other side because they will cross feed each other. But as we move, you got air tanks on this side, so you're checking those. They look pretty good. You got your washer fluid, but we'll go into more of the washer fluid here in a little bit. But once again, you got your cabs, you got your windows. Make sure they will be clean. Lights. So once again, now we're back on the other side here. We got grease fittings on here for the hitch and the control. You can see right there's the grease fitting. Looks like it has plenty of grease on it. There's another one back there. And you can even look in there where the hitch pivots at. There's a couple grease fittings there. So all in all, if you see a grease fitting, it probably needs to be greased, or it does need to be greased. So and as you come across here, now we're going to take a look at some of the broom. Once again, we have another grease fitting here. So this is the broom head, and as you can see, we've got a deflector shield. This helps you go up or down, helps you control with the blowback of the snow when it comes out. Sometimes it helps when the snow, or when it's windy out, to keep the snow down. But one thing you want to check out is right up here, this is a scraper bar. This helps you as snow comes, it does get caked on, it does scrape it off. You need to have, that's a pretty good, you need to have a hand in there. The way to adjust that is right here, up or down. You crank it, but you want to have a hand width. Now this doesn't do the whole thing, you got to go down to the other side and adjust that too. But yeah, a good hand in here is kind of what we go for. Other thing is, once we'll go in this a little bit later, is called the pattern, the snow pattern or the sweeping pattern. We want 4 to 6, and what that means is, you can get close here, is we want 4 to 6 inches of the broom head touching the ground, and that's it. And that gives a little flicking motion to get the snow off the pavement. So that kind of completes our walk around. It's a couple minutes. It will take you longer than that, but that was just an overview as you're looking at. Our next video will be checking the fluids and getting inside the engines. Here we are. We are ready to start checking the fluids on this front mounted broom. But first things first, we need to get this hood off of the engine. So first things first is, as you come over here, you got 2 connections. One's exactly on the other side. You kind of see, you just pull that down and off it comes. And then you come back here. Here's where we're able to lift this hood up and down. Right now, this is to let all the pressure out for that hood. We got to turn it like that. And the easiest way to get this up is with the air pressure. That button right there will raise the hood. Now you have to have air pressure up. This piece of equipment, front mounted broom, has been on, so the air pressure has built up. So all you do is you hold that down. You're going to hear some noise, but eventually you're going to see it start to raise. The piece of equipment does not need to be on per se, but it needs to have air pressure built up already. Those tanks that we discussed earlier, that's where the air is coming from. Now, as you can see, here's a safety bar, and once it gets to a certain point, it'll lock in. So if this thing does, if the cylinder does give out, it will stop and protect the person underneath it. So we just ran out of air. How do we get it up and it's still not there? You see, this thing is still not safety. Here's a bar, it's inside the cab. Every front mounted broom has one. You slide it into this slot right here, and it's like an old-fashioned crank. Just go up and down, and you can see it go up. So there's 2 ways to get this up. If you have air pressure, you can do it that way. If you want to do it the more manual way, you stick the bar in and you continue to pump until, and you're going to see this drop here in a few seconds. And we're almost there. Did you see how it dropped? Now I know it's secured. That's a safety mechanism. So that's how you get the hood up. And next video, we're going to be showing you how to check all the fluids. All right, so now with that, we have the hood up. We're going to check the fluids on the rear engine. The rear engine is the drive engine. It drives the equipment forward. There are 2 engines on this piece of equipment. Up front is for the broom head, and that controls the broom head. But first, we're going to take a look here at the rear engine, or the drive engines. As you can see, we've got the coolant. We've got a cold and max. So it needs to be in between there at all times. That's for the coolant for the engine. Next, we have the engine oil. And you can either set up on this catwalk, or you can pull it out. You check it. You check for the color of it. Make sure everything looks good. Make sure it's full. And as we get it out here, you can kind of see how it's on there. It looks full. There you go. Perfect. And you stick this back in here and make sure. Now, let's say the oil is not full and you need to add oil. Right here, you just turn this cap on just like normal, and that's where your oil intake. Up here is the air filter, and you can kind of see this thing right here. You would give that a little squeeze. Dirt may or may not fall out, but that just keeps the air filter clean. As we walk around the other side here, as we move to the back side here, you can there's a sight glass for the hydraulic fluid. You just want to basically make sure it's 1/2 to 3/4. It's about half, or a little over half right now, so you want to take a quick look at that. Make sure it's on there. Hydraulic fluid is always red. As you come to this side, there's a little bit more. If you want to zoom up there, you can see the sight glass It's green. That is for the coolant. On top there is how you fill it. One word of advice is never fill coolant when it's hot, or open that cap up. It will spray on you and it could cause severe second or third degree burns. Also right here is the fill for the transmission, and the same thing, you open it up, unscrew it, and look at it, make sure it is where it needs to be. Now that the checking the fluids has been completed, we're going to close this hood. There is a little bit of process or procedure. If you ever get in doubt, here it is. But we're just going to kind of show you on this video. So one thing you may have to take, you got to make sure this is up and hold it up. You may have to jack it up a little bit, either the button or the stick here. But once you get done, or once you're ready to do it, you just gotta flip this. It kind of releases. Make sure this is up. See how it went past. Once it gets past, you can let it back down, and the engine or the hood cover should come all the way down. Once it gets down, you make sure you secure it. That's one thing we need to make sure we do, so it doesn't come flying open when we're trying to use it out on the runways and taxiways and ramps. You can kind of see it going down there. And once it gets it, there's two straps, just like I said before. It gets there, so might have to go up a little bit, but there's a little groove there to help you, and then just like that, make sure it's secure. And that's the rear engine compartment. That's how you check it out. You saw where you can put on any additional fluids if you need to. If you have any questions, you always ask myself or one of the supervisors or one of the operators. I'd like to give you go over the Broom engine compartment, do a little inspection on that. But first thing I want to show you guys is how to do a 3-point climb or 3-point safety descent onto the catwalk here. So 3 points, you got to make sure you always have something 3 points of contact, either 2 legs and an arm, or two arms and a foot. So like this, and there's 3, 1, 2, 3, and then climb up. Always have 3. When you switch, make sure you switch when you have 3 points of contact and grab onto this bar up here. When you do descend, one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to go off like this. You can slip, fall face first. It's hard to maintain your 3 points of contact. What you want to do is 3 points of contact again. Once again, when you switch from this handle to this handle, make sure you still have 3 points, and down you come. So now we're going to do some of the fluids checks, but first things first here, we're going to look at the washer fluid. One tank is for the deluge system, which kind of sprays a whole bunch of fluid out on your windshield, and then your wipers will take it off. And then the other one is for your regular wipers, kind of like what it's on your cars, spray out of the wipers too. This is the fuel tank. Like we said before, you can check it and open it up, look inside. This one still needs some fuel in it, but you know, obviously we're not in snow yet. It's a beautiful day out. So we're going to check the engine, the front mounted Broom engine. So we climb up, 3 points of contact, switch, there you go, and we're going to come up into here. As you open this up, the first things first you see is the hydraulic, and it needs to be about 3/4 to or 1/2 to 3/4 full. It's red, so it looks pretty good. You want to look up in there. That's how you fill it. What you need access through is through these right here. There's one on the back for a different for the coolant, and I'll show you how to open those and fill those. So as you come through here, you're checking to see the belt. I'm sorry, not the belts, but the hoses. Make sure all the hoses look good. Nothing's frayed. And we'll close that one up. These are very simple to open too. You just kind of twist this, pull them out, and you can come in here. And you see in here we got hoses, we got more belts. I'm sorry, belts and hoses. Sorry about that. Just to take a look, make sure nothing's fried. Right here, you can see this is where on the other side is the dipstick for the engine oil, but this is how you fill it up. Coming up here, you kind of see this is for the coolant. There's no sight glass or anything like that, so you got to do a visual check. And this is how you do a visual check. You come up here, there's a little access port. You come in here, you reach your hand down in there, you got to push and turn just like a medication prescription bottle. So there it is. You do a visual check and you put it back on. Gotta make sure it's nice and tight. If not, it will come off and you'll have some issues. So put this back on, make sure this is secure. There you go. So as we walk around, you know, be careful, especially if this potentially could be snowy. If not, always be careful. We've got a rail here. Once again, open this up. And in here we have, you can see the back side of the belts that were on the other side. We got some more hoses that just to take a look at. You might be able to see the oil fill a little bit better. Here's how you check the oil. You take it out, wipe it off, make sure it's, then put it back in and take it back out one more time to make sure you got a nice sample and look to see if it needs filled or not. And once, if it does, fill it. If it doesn't, put it back in and move on to the front compartment here. If you are doing it this way I'm doing it, be careful because the rail does stop here. You don't want you to fall off. Safety is always key. So you get in here. Once again, you see the filter, just like on the back. Kind of give it a little squeeze. Make sure a little dirt can come out there. Just double check that. Here's your gear fluid. Just pull that out, just like the engine oil. If you do need to put fluid in there, get with the mechanic what kind that needs to go in there. So that completes the broom head engine compartment pre-trip inspection. Once again, when you do dismount, make sure you go down backwards just like you do, and have a good day. Now we're going to show you guys how to grease the broom head. Like I said before, we need to have this thing on. We should be doing it after every snow event or every 10-12 hours of operation. This is a manual. We do have grease guns in the shop that will just pump it in. And you just basically keep pumping. Sometimes a few squirts, sometimes if you want to keep doing it until you see grease start coming out right there. When you're in the shop, it is a lot better. I know it's a little loud right now because we've got the engine running, but also when this is parked during snow events, when you're on a break, this is kind of how fast you want the broom head spinning, so that way it doesn't freeze up on you. Now you can see the grease is on there. It has gone in there and stuff. But that's all we're kind of looking for, at least a couple squirts every now and then. But after a whole snow event, we'll bring it in the shop, and it's a lot easier to put the grease in with the in the shop without just using the grease gun. You can see here's the front of that, and of course you do the other side too. Couple things that were not mentioned on the first video is there are these heads, or these grease pivots heads right here. There are some on the underside, so make sure we get those. Also, when we do the caster wheels here, when we're doing the 10, 12, or after a snow event, we're going to take it into the shop, hook it up just like that, and on the other side you're going to see a whole bunch of great grease come out, and you're basically going to pump it in there until you see the red or a yellow come out. Make sure you have a pan or a towel or something underneath there so you don't get on the shop floor. That's just some other things we might have missed throughout, but and we're just going to go to the in-cab and how to operate this fine piece of equipment. So starting off, we're just going to go across these controls and what they do across the top here. Here's your climate control. Very simple. You got power on, power off, and I just turn on the accessories so you can power on. You hear it kind of kick on. It's very simple. Here's your heat, here's your fan, if you want defrost, but we're going to turn that off. There's our ground radio or air traffic control radio. If you're an operator, you know how to use this. If not, just listen to it. Sometimes it can get loud, so you just adjust it. You can pull it out to give a little squawk to see how loud it is, but for the most part, you can listen to it, see where aircraft are coming in and out. So, but we're just going to turn it off. As we move across the top here, we got wipers left and right. Those are not for the windshield, they're for your doors. And you can kind of see one of those doors right there. There you go. Left and right. Then we have the mirrors. Left mirror, right mirror. You can adjust. This adjusts the top part of the mirror. This adjusts the bottom part. And it's just like in your car, you can adjust how you want. Also, the windows do go up and down. So up, down, and you kind of see it. Up, down, there you go, or up. So, and as we come, here's lights around the equipment. So you can you can turn them on. Don't worry about the transfer case, high, low, or driveline lockup. Heated windshield, heated wiper blades, heated mirrors. These things, when you're out in the cold and your windshield starts to frost over or whatnot, you can hit those. The deluge system, like I mentioned earlier with the windshield wipers, as soon as I hit that, it's just going to basically pump a whole bunch of windshield wiper fluid on all the windows, and it's just going to blast it. So, and as we come down here, we have the headlights, the clearance markers, the front beacon, rear beacon, the headlight changeover, the dome lights, and if you want to increase your dashboard lights or decrease is right here. Here's for the ground radio. Like I said, if you're an operator, you should know how to use that. If not, don't touch it. These up here, do not worry about. These are more for our operators to regen the engine, to clear out the carbon of the engine, or for cruise control. We don't drive long distances without turning, so please don't use that. So as you come here, we're going to start up the piece of equipment. First things first, here's the key. This is for the drive engine. So as you see, I'm going to turn it on. It's going to beep at me. It's going to go through some checks. The computers, new equipment or newer equipment all have these computers that have to process, and it should. There it goes. You're going to hear that beeping sound. That's for a low air pressure. As you can see right there, I'm below probably about 80, 90 psi. So we're going to wait, or we're going to have to start this thing up to get that alarm to go off. When you turn the key, you're going to have to hold it. There it goes. And if you want to speed that up to build the air pressure, you got the gas pedal on the right, just like normal. And just kind of like give it, and you're going to see it's going to go up quicker. One thing as we hear wait, I explained we had windshield wipers on the sides. They just went off around 80, 90 psi. Here's for your front. You kind of see it goes. It's just like what you would have on your car or vehicle. If you just want the windshield wipers fluid there, you just kind of hit that and it should come out. See, it's starting to pump it out. Just like that. I will hit the deluge system, and you can hopefully see it pumping out. And obviously it's not, but we'll make sure that that is working. You see all the windshield wipers working. So, and I'm going to turn those off because right now it's a little bit annoying. Alright, so we got the air pressure built up. One thing that controls the air pressure is the seat. So over here on the right, you can't probably see it, but over here on the right there's two buttons, and they're underneath this thing. One of them controls how high and low this goes, and you just lift up. See how I'm lifting it up? And the other button is for the lumbar support. So you can either have a really lots of lumbar support or very little, your choice. So also we got the seat belt. Make sure the seat belt is on. You always want to make sure you're buckled up for safety. All right, this piece of equipment is already out of the barn, but if you are in the barn, one thing I want to stress is your spotter safety. Always have a spotter with two-way radio communication. We do have handhelds that you can talk to, so make sure you have one in here and your spotter has one in here. So next thing, we got our drive engine started. We're going to start the broom engine. If you can come over here and look at this, broom attachments, everything, all the hoses and hydraulics are attached, so you just hit the corresponding button with each one of these. Wait a little bit and we're going to have another one that comes up about the cylinders. And same thing there. Yes on that. Now we're going to start. You just kind of see this right here where it says start. This is not a touch screen. You just hit the start button and hold it down. Oop, that comes about sometimes. You just hit attach again and you hold that down, there you go. And that changes to stop. So in order to get this thing moving or working, you see we have controls over here. If you see a hand, that means manual. If you want it to go to auto, it's a little flag. So that's, right now my joysticks is in auto, that's manual. This is symbols for the broom head and for your air blast. Right now the broom head is not controlled through the joystick. I have to select it. See how that joystick comes up? And same thing for the air blast. One thing we want to remember with the air blast, sometimes they do bleed off and they do come out. So we want to bring them out and bring them back in order for them to like kind of reestablish. So I got everything selected. It's in auto, broom head, and the air blast. There's a button underneath here, and I don't know if you can see it. Anytime you want to move the broom head or do something, you got to push the button, and then you can go left or right. So right now, if you look in your rear view or your mirrors, you got the air blasts that both have come out. Now I'm going to pull them back in by pushing the button and pull them back, and they retract. There you go. Now, the only time you should use an air blast is when you're told to. So we want to take that off the control of the joystick. So I'm going to hit the C button. So now the air blast won't come out. When you do pull this piece of equipment into and out of the equipment barn, you want to make sure you're on manual. There's a couple reminders, because if it's in auto, as soon as you hit the button here and go left, this whole piece, I let go of it, it's going to go to its limit, so it goes to the left. So when you're pulling into the barn and you accidentally hit it, or if you want to try to, or when you're pulling it into its parking spot, you got to manually maneuver the head a little bit to get it in there, just with all the other ones. Anytime you want to move, remember, you got to hit the button, and you just kind of, as soon as you stop, it stops. Back and forth, because I'm in manual mode. I'm going to go back to auto mode. Check everything out. So when you are doing this in a snow removal, you're going to be in auto mode. So I am going to come down here. This is this equipment, or this piece of equipment, is capable of all-wheel steer. So that means the back end will track where the front end goes. Like, it's very different from what a semi would do. Semis, when they turn, they kind of cut that corner. This thing will cut corner, or will turn very sharp, but the back end will follow. So you want to make sure it is in the axle locks, or in the back when you're going into and out of the barn, so you don't turn sharp, because the back end will swing out on you. When you're out on the runways, taxiways, or ramps, and you want to have a tighter turn, you got to turn this thing on here. It lights up, the axles are still locked. I come in here, push forward, now I'm in a coordinated turn, which means the back end will follow the front end. You can turn very sharply on that. So, and as we turn the wheels, you can kind of see that button right there, and I'm not moving forward, but once I start moving forward, the rear position indicator will either go to the left red or right red, and that will let you know kind of where your tires are located at. Oh, it kind of did it there, didn't it? See, right now it's green. We'll look at that real quick. I'm going to turn to the left. There you go. So now my wheels, the back end is actually, wheels are going to go slight toward the right angle to be in a coordinated turn. So very helpful when you're in a tight situation or trying to maneuver. So I actually want to take that out of coordinated, got my wheels locked, so I'm just going to turn that off. All right. Some other things with the seat that I forgot to mention, there is a lever here to go forward and backwards, so it's comfortable. Also, the steering wheel, if you push in, you can go up or down with it a little bit, and if you pull it, it goes up and down. So be very comfortable. You may be in here for 10, 11, 12 hours doing snow removal. So with that, I got the broom drive engine, I got the broom head engine on. One thing, once you turn on all your lights, you want to do a walk around, make sure they're all working. You can do that while you're waiting for the pressure to build up, or you can do it now. I'm not going to do it right now, just for the fact we're going to take this out, or a broom just around the drive here, just to show you kind of the operations of it. So just like a car, you want to put your foot on the brake. You want to release the parking brake. You want to push it in. You hear that little? So push it in means it's released. That's engaged. So there we go. It's released again. You come over to your drive selector. You got reverse or drive. Obviously, if you want to go forward, it's D. Reverse is R, and it kicks in. We're in gear 1. You can go up to 4 or 5 or 6. So you don't need to worry about selecting it. Just hit drive. All right. So you release it. As soon as I release this, I'm going to go forward. I'm going to check my monitor here just to make sure I got what I want selected. I got the broom head selected, and it's in auto mode. Hopefully you can see that. So off we go. So the broom head currently is where I kind of left it. Once again, if I want it to go left or right, I have to hit the trigger and go left, and it will turn left. If I want it to go right, I go like that. One tip that I've learned over the years from the operators and supervisors, if you are turning and you want the broom head, if you want to turn faster, the broom head can help you turn it by going that same direction. It will turn a little sharper. So as we drive, obviously be aware, you can kind of see the deflector is up right now. This button right here will lower and raise. However, you got to engage the trigger button. Always engage that trigger button. And as you can see, it's going down right now. I'll bring it back up. And depending on what kind of snow and which way the wind is going, you know, if the wind's helping you, you kind of want that deflector shield up so the snow will be taken by the wind away from you. If you're getting some blowback, you might want to put it down. It's just going to be a preference in adjusting. All right, so now we're going to engage the broom head. Once again, you got to put the trigger, push the trigger, and push down. You hear the engine engage. It's all preset. The broom is brooming now. And if we're doing a broom head change, look at that. Engage the trigger, go left. I don't even need to hold it. All I need to do is just kind of hit the trigger and go that way. And it automatically does it. So you can kind of see some of the pebbles and stones being kicked out. As we drive, we're just driving around the equipment barn. We're not on any taxiways or roadways yet. So when you want to stop, you know, I'm trying to stop, it's not working. Why is it not working? Oh, I forgot to hit the trigger. Hit the trigger, you pull back up, it comes back up, and off you go. So as we come back to our starting point, if we are going to go into the barn, remember, you want to take the broom head out of manual mode. And manual mode is, remember, hand is manual. The circle, the wind symbol is, and hopefully you can see that, the wind symbol is auto. So now we're in manual mode. I can go in, hit, and control the whole broom, and it just kind of stops. All right, so now that we're back to kind of our starting point here, and I apologize for the sun, you know, we are not a high quality production system, but you get what you get. This is the best you get. Sorry about that. All right, all kidding aside, so kind of you repeat the process to when you put it in park. So you go into neutral, engage the parking brake, you hear it engage, you let off your foot. Now you can get out of the truck. If you still have it in gear, and I'll put it back in gear and release the parking brake. If you're still in gear and you open that door, you're going to hear a loud noise. You should hear it. That's lets you know the door is open and you're not in neutral or the parking brake. Took me a little bit. It's because you're not supposed to do it. So anyway, once again, you always want to, when you're going in and out of the barn, you want to have it in manual mode for the broom. You want to, your coordinated steer is make sure it's off. And then now we're going to go down to shut off the piece of equipment. So once again here, you want it to hit stop. This is an emergency button, so if you are experiencing something emergency, you can just hit it. Please don't hit it just to turn it off. or use this. Let's use the buttons to turn it off. And if something's not starting, your broom engine's not starting, you might want to pull this up and turn it, or make sure this button is on, because some people may hit it with their arm. So you want to hit stop. You want to see it roll down, and same thing with this. You're going to turn it off. One thing I am going to go over, I'm going to restart this all up real quick here. One thing I forgot to do is if we are coming in for a break, we need to have these broom heads moving, because if it's cold outside they will freeze up, and then this piece of equipment is, we have to basically bring it inside and let it fall out. So the way to do that is you're going to have to put it in manual mode and bring up the RPMs and just let it spin. I'll kind of show you how to do that here. Hopefully everybody's enjoying these videos. Remember to hit the like button. Just kidding. So here we go. We're going to start. Alright, so if you come in here, it's in manual. Make sure it's selected. I'm going to increase the RPMs about 1200. Oops. And with that, the broom head should be spinning right now slowly. If you want to back it off a little bit, you can even go down to 800-900. Maybe bring it down just a little bit, but that broom head's spinning right now, so it keeps it basically going through the freeze. So I'd like to thank you guys for, I know it's probably been a little longer than expected, but hey, hopefully the training's going good for everybody, and have a great day.